Alright, we're live. Hopefully the audio is good. I haven't done this for probably over a month. It's been ages since I've done a live stream. So welcome everybody. Welcome to all those who watch the playback. If you don't see the live chat and you can't comment on it, then you're watching the playback. I just thought I'd throw that in at the start. I'll try and timestamp this at the end as well. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know. It's 11:30 p.m. here. So we're going to go for 1 hour. And then I'm going to take all your questions. I'm going to talk a little bit about some stuff that's happened gear-wise as well, both good and bad, because I like to update everybody. I want to put a podcast together about it, actually, but I may kind of spill the beans on this live stream. We'll see how we go. I'll just give this a minute to get loaded here, make sure everything's working. If there's any issues with the audio or video, please let us know. Everything looks good on my side, so fingers crossed. All right, who we got here? They've got the session room from snowy Canada. I watched the video today. I can't remember whose video it was. Anyway, yeah, it looked brutally cold. So, yeah, that's insane. Let us know where you're from in Canada as well, man. We've got Josh. Welcome, mate. Awesome. Everything's sounding good. So I usually use like a wireless pack, and it's not actually turning on. I think either the battery's completely flat in one of the packs or it's just dead. So I've had to use a different microphone tonight, a last minute rush. I was going to schedule this up a long time ahead of time. I was going to do it tomorrow morning. Now something's come up for tomorrow morning, so I'm doing it tonight. All right. We've got Ridiculous Wangs here. Welcome, mate. John, how you doing, man? How's the Artist Cherry 58? That was just a loaner, man. So I think that one was a loaner. No, actually, the black one was just a loaner. I sold the one that I had to cover my costs at the time. It's a great guitar. Like, I've written reviews about it. I played a lot of different 335s for its price. Excellent instrument. Being that, artist guitars don't pay me to make videos, that's how I kind of cover my costs. Well, sometimes if they're sponsored a couple of videos, but not those early ones. Noah says, good morning, Shane. Audio and video looks good from Harrisville, New York. Welcome, mate. We got Marijan, is it, from Croatia? Welcome. Catch 55 from Detroit. Awesome stuff. Thanks for joining, everybody. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. I know I haven't been as busy on my channel lately, and some of the videos haven't been as exciting as normal. I really needed to sort of just take some time off. Like as someone who plays guitar as a passion, sometimes making videos about guitar stuff all the time can take the fun out of it sometimes, right? I love what I do, but I really needed a break. And off the back of when I went away for a week or two, it was good to just sort of take some time off. I did a few videos, obviously. You've seen some stuff go up, but it's been good finding the love for playing guitar again without that whole pressure of having to play it to make the content kind of thing. So I've been playing live again lately, been singing and playing guitar. We cut a really cool live session here at the house, which I might call the Rust Sessions because I was rusty as nobody's business. The guys were all playing great. Dr. Rick was slaying it. And it was a lot of fun. So I can't wait to bring you some new stuff because I haven't been overly impressed with a lot of what I'm seeing in the guitar channel niche. And I haven't been overly excited with some of my releases on the channel either. So with the exception of Guitar Search Saturdays, which is completely different, I'm really looking forward to bringing you some new stuff. So stay tuned and hang in there. It's been really good to detach from it for a bit. Not from the audience, obviously, but just from the grind. It's been cool. But I'm just getting... I'm feeling the flow coming back to the playing. I've actually been practicing a bit. And it's been a fairly fast journey back, actually. I was a little concerned it was going to take me a month to get, my fingers moving again, but it really didn't take that long. So if you've ever had time off from playing guitar, let us know how quick or how slow it takes to come back for you guys. Feel free to ask any questions too. I'll start taking them once I get into the chat here. Whoa, it's already flying down here. Greetings from Germany. That's Gunroar. Welcome, man. Oh, yeah, I'm back at the top. Sorry, let's go down here. I think I'm already... All right. Sweet. We've got Chopper from Taz. Just picked up my Gibson, a 50 standard. Love it. Very nice, man. Very cool. Gibsons. I got a funny story for you about Dr. Rick from the channel as well recently. He's yeah, anyway, I'll save that for another video, but yeah, man, you can't go past the 50s ones. Nice big neck, good tone, pretty cool. Andrew from Western Australia, welcome, mate. Nice and early there compared to here. I've been playing for 13 months. I can't really change chords fast enough, and I don't know enough chords to play a song. Am I behind? You've really got to work at things inch by inch on guitar. There's no quick way of doing it. I had this really great video planned where I was going to show you my learning curve, because things just don't come easily to me either. I got to actually work at stuff. There's some things that are easier than others for me to work out if it's kind of related to something I already know. But if it's a new chord shape, it can be really tricky to get your fingers and brain coordinated enough to actually make the chord shape on the fly. And that just takes practice. There's this thing I've been saying for years where you make a chord shape, say like you're making a D chord shape. You take your fingers off, put it back on, take it off, put it back on, and you just keep doing that until it's almost second nature. And then you incorporate a second chord, but you make sure the muscle memory for that second chord's already ingrained in your hand. And then you just go back and forth between them. I remember how much of a hard time I had playing Desire from U2, which is just D, A, E, A, E. Because at the time I knew all the chords, but I couldn't put them together as quickly as the song gets played and as quick as those chord changes go. So it was a lot about muscle memory, and that's pretty much what it comes down to, that you've got to nail each chord and then work on the changes for that particular song. If you're just sitting there noodling around, you're never going to improve. You've got to actually go, okay, but how do I get better? It's like lifting weights or whatever. If you just go to the gym and you look at your phone, you're not going to see, you're not going to get anywhere, right? You got to actually put in the work. So break it down into the very simple process of just getting the muscle memory in your fingers, and then it will start getting easier. I hope that helps. Everyone learns differently as well. Everyone has a different... Everyone puts in... There is this thing, like, some people are more musical than others, but a lot of it is just practice. There's natural talent is part of maybe some sort of dexterity and also being able to hear things and kind of work them out, but a lot of it is hard work, and that's how it was for me too, and is, especially when I start learning new songs. Like when I learnt Riviera Paradise, that was tough. I had to break the first chord change. It's 2 chords, going from one new chord I learnt to the second new chord I learnt, and it took me a long time to get that under my fingers, and I still haven't mastered it. So you just got to focus on those little bits and pieces. Steve says he's currently having an enforced break due to persistent wrist problems. Oh, that's no good, mate. I hope you get that sorted out. Yeah, nothing worse than hurting your fingers or wrist, especially if you want to play guitar. I guess you could probably play drums, right? Hey Shane, can you give some tips to practice thumb chords? Seems impossible for me. You don't have to use your thumb to play chords. That's just the cool way of doing it. You see a lot of people do it, especially if you've got big hands. The reason I started playing over the neck... Have I got a guitar out here? No. The reason I started playing with my thumb over the neck is because, 1, I got large hands, but 2, it made chords like F easier, but I don't use that all the time, and there's no you don't need to do that. Some necks will allow you to play like that more than others on guitar, but don't try to add your thumb into every chord, or most chords. It really isn't necessary. So you're not really missing out on anything by doing that, other than I find it less fatiguing for my hand playing an F with my thumb over the top of the fretboard versus playing it like that, because I get sore in here really quickly. You inspired me to relic my Harley Benton T52. it's a hard go, but worth it. Do you still have and play yours? I don't have mine anymore, mate, but congratulations. That guitar kicks ass. It's so good. And the Relic job, especially if you're doing it by hand, is brutal. So anyone thinking about relicking a poly finish electric guitar, just don't do it by hand unless you really want to commit to the idea. It's pretty tough. But the guy that bought it off me, he ended up doing a little bit more to it. I think John, who's in the chat here, sent me, I think it was John, he sent me some photos of the guy who posted more photos of it online, and because I'm not on Facebook, so I think he sent me some pictures, and I was like, oh, cool. He actually sort of added more cool stuff to it. There was a follow-up video to that original one where I added like the dirt look to it, because it was just like a sanded guitar and scuffed. But once I added in that, I think it was some sort of chalk I got back in the day for that. It just really changed the look of it. It came up pretty cool. So, yeah, I don't keep all the guitars. I either get sent or buy over time. It's just, I can't fit the guitars here. And I don't really like having a lot of guitars sitting around I'm not using. And it comes down to, am I going to play this guitar over another one in my collection? If the answer is generally no, other than for a video, I have to sell it, or I have to move it on, or I give it away. That's kind of how that goes, because I'm in the process of purging a lot of guitars. I've sold, I think, 4 recently, and there's 1 more to go tomorrow morning, and then that will be about it for a while. The cupboard will be half full, as opposed to really full. So, John actually bought one off me, the mod here. But Harley Benton guitars are great. Like, the quality is so much better on those than when I first started playing with what was available. And the selection, there's so much good stuff out there now. But yeah, I keep a lot of my, I call them almost forever guitars, but not all of them are in that sort of category. There's a few I won't sell. And if I get another one that's very similar to that, it's kind of like, well, would I play it over this guitar or not? And that's what the end decision comes down to. Yeah, I don't want that distraction anymore. I'm clearing out stuff, and I feel good about it. So, I'm not a wall decorator kind of YouTube guy. Every Sunday I go play live if I can. I take the guitars with me. I don't want them hanging on the wall. We got Josh R. he says, greetings from Nashville. I think you would have a blast at Grun's Guitars. Me too. I'm scheduled to get there at some point soon, so hang in there. It's on the list. So I got a pretty big trip planned mid-year if it all goes to plan, and this is part of the reason why I'm sort of like moving a lot of things on. I'll post up a proper video about it when the time's closer, but it's going to be a massive trip away, lots of new content. I've talked about this before, but this will be the year that it's finally time for a change for the channel. There's only so much of the same stuff people will want to watch, but also that I'll actually want to make. So I'm really looking forward to mixing things up and showcasing some new ideas, because I've had an idea for a series of videos for over 2 years now, and I haven't been able to do it because of, obviously all the travel restrictions and all that kind of crap. So yeah, I'm busting to do this new series. I think probably this weekend, we're going to work out the logistics and rough price of it all. And then that'll determine, in reality, what will actually happen. Because, yeah, we'll see how it goes. The Tali's pretty heavy, nice neck, but to be honest, hardly ever play it. I bought the Strat secondhand, and it was set up beautifully. The trem is blocked, but it's my go-to guitar at the moment. Cool. Is that the Fusion T? Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah, Surferby says noodling is fun, but you have to focus and have intent when you practice. Absolutely. That's the biggest thing. Like, as attention spans are getting shorter, you've really, and I'm included here, right? It's one of those things where you're easily distracted. You've got to just work at the basics and the fundamentals until you can get them under your fingers. The first time I played live or played guitar in like over 4 weeks, I was awful. Like, I played, it was almost like a foreign object. But I forced myself to go out and play live with friends. And I said to them, look, I haven't played in like a month. I'm going to suck. So, and I hadn't played live in like 6 or 7 weeks, but I'd played a little bit here and there about 4 weeks prior. So, then I had to go, okay, I suck. Time to get the chops back. And it's slowly coming back. And it all comes down to the effort. The more effort you put in, the easier it's going to get, right? But you got to make time for it, all those kind of things. Like anything you do, you got to make the time and put in the work. Otherwise, like, yeah, if you're enjoying yourself and you don't care too much, that's fine. But if you want to get better, you've really got to put in the time. I've got GW Taylor. Welcome, mate. He says, hi, Shane. Sat here eating my lunch in the UK when the notification alarm went off. Have you come across East Coast Guitars? I've been getting gas over their gold top LP. Similar to artist. East Coast Guitars. No, I don't know that one, mate. Let's have a quick look at this. I don't even know where that is. Is that in Australia or? Oh, okay. No, I've never heard of them before, but I'll take a look. You know, Artist Guitars also sell in the UK as well, but I don't know whether or not they've got. All right, it's telling me that website's not working, so maybe don't go to that one. Just says that their site's not secure. Oh man, sorry. I'll fly through the chat here. Just bear with me. Have I ever experimented with a 7-string or 8-string guitar? I'm lefty myself. The Schecter has me covered. No, not at all. I mean, I struggle enough with 6 strings. 7 or 8 is just going to confuse me to no end. What I'd love to do, though, is get one of those bass guitar hybrids. So maybe the top 2 strings can be, you know, a bass setup, and then the rest can be guitar strings. I reckon that'd be kind of fun. But nah, for me, 7 and 8, it's more for metal and all that kind of stuff. It's not really like the go-to blues sound, but everyone likes different stuff, and if it works for you, go for it. Have I tried the Joyo pedal board power supply? That's from Relic, is it? You know what? I've tried so much of their stuff. Let me see what it looks like. I can't remember. No. But, you know what? This looks exactly the same as the Kalen power supply that I use a lot. It looks exactly the same. I could be wrong. But yeah, it looks like this might be some sort of OEM power supply that gets sold through a lot of different companies. So I think yes, and it's good because I've been using it a lot. The main one that I use is a big brick here, and that's from Kalen as well. That's an old, big one with lots of different voltages. But this one looks exactly the same as the Kalen one. And it also has 18 volts, I think a 12 volt slot and an LED light out. This little USB port thing. So, yeah, I don't think technically I've tried one branded as Joyo, but that looks exactly the same as the Kalen one. They make good stuff. If they were crap, I'd let you know. Unlike the Harley Benton, what was the one that I got? I got this USB... what was it? It's like a power supply that's it's got an internal battery. You charge it up, and it was the noisiest thing I've ever used. You know, DC isn't supposed to be noisy, but that thing, all it does now is back up my phone if I ever need a mobile charger. What are those things called? Anyway, yeah, those little power brick things. PV Classic 20 head review, please. You know, PV's not a brand I see anywhere anymore, man. I'd love to review more of their stuff. But at the same time, I don't know. I kind of went off them because I had a lot of problems with my PV Delta Blues back in the day. I've reviewed some classic 30s that friends own and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know anywhere that really has any PV stuff that I'm like friends with. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do. I don't think where I borrow all my stuff from is Sky Music. I don't think they're going to be stocking them anytime soon. Yeah, I don't know what happened to... I mean, I know what happened to PV, but they sort of haven't recovered from a bit of that backlash about moving everything over to China. A lot of excellent handcraft in Eastman. Eastman guitars are good. Thank you, Ryan. Welcome back, mate. I hope you're doing well. He says, this is a nice way to come home from work. Always good to see you. Thanks, mate. I was going to do this in the morning, and then something's come up at like 8:30 in the morning. I'm spewing. So I was like, all right, I got to do this because I don't know how long that's going to take. Yeah, I'm not going to be sleeping much tonight, but I got lots of caffeine, so we're good to go. Hey, Shane, have you been practicing slide? Not really, no. I got one right here, and I use it for parts, rhythm parts, mostly on intro tracks, and then that's it. That's all I use it for, but it's out, which is more than I can say about prior years, and I only ever use it when I really need to. I've got a super chat here. Sorry, let me scroll down here. Thank you, mate, for the support. This is from Tosh Jake Finnegan. He says, howdy from Colac Cobber. DI Music sent the Michael Kelly hybrid you reviewed out to my store. Reckon I can claim it'll give peeps blues superpowers. Oh, that's great. That was a cool guitar, and they offered to let me keep it. And I said, man, I got so many guitars, and the acoustic thing for me wasn't something that I use often enough. So I already had electric guitars covered, but that was super cool. It was nice of them to send it out, and hopefully I haven't left any fingery spray on there or anything. I tried to clean it up, but yeah, that was a great guitar, man. I hope Michael Kelly ended up making some more lefties down the track because that was super cool. And thanks for the support, mate. And let us know what your shop is too, man. That's super cool. I can't tell what it says on your avatar from my version of the chat here, but thank you again, mate. And yeah, you got your own shop. That's awesome. Hey, Jamal, welcome, man. Welcome to the live chat. We got Poo Ninja here as well. Welcome. I'm just going to go back up the chat here. Bought my first Tally. It's a copy, but I'm surprised how it feels and sounds. Comfortable and very versatile. I'm digging it so far. That's from James Lamax. Sweet, man. That's cool. You know, there's something to be said about all the other guitars that aren't Fender. Yeah, I got a story coming up about my thoughts about that because I was very narrow-minded for a long time, and there's no real need to be anymore. There's so many great guitars out there. It's crazy. You know, my number one is now a guitar that isn't a mainstream brand, and I love it. Mike DR says, isn't it interesting that we can work on it for years, and if you take a month off, you can lose so much? Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny what happens, at least with my sort of brain chemistry, which is somewhat limited. I know exactly what I want to play to some extent, but it's really limited. The more I play, the bigger that bag gets, but it only gets a little bit bigger the more I play. In terms of the flow of ideas, so the big bag of licks, say I'm playing at my best, wherever that is, and I'm doing live gigs, and it's effortless. The bag of tricks and rhythm chops and coordination, it's like this. If I don't play for a month, it feels like it's like this. I only can stick to standard blues stuff. There's not a lot of interesting chops. I just try to focus on execution and feel. So the timing of the notes mixed with nothing fast, basically, is what that means. Then the flow starts coming back, and I can start to do some repetitive, faster chops. And in amongst those two combinations of the really basic blues stuff and the fast stuff, I start remembering more things. I'm like, oh yeah, this ties into here, or I can play that here, or I can do the other version of this, which is over here. And then all of a sudden there's like a bigger array of chops that come from those ideas. And it's funny because at least with me anyway, I completely forget about those ideas. There's stuff that I know now just from playing a couple of weeks that I haven't been able to play because I can't work it into my playing, and I haven't got the confidence in that to come out when I'm actually playing live yet, because I know I'm going to butcher it. But it's all about feeling that flow, and these don't necessarily even have to be like rehearsed licks. It's just ideas and things that you would generally execute in the moment that don't flow as easily when you haven't been playing as much. So yeah, it's one of those things. It takes me a while to get back to playing at my best. I'm still not there. I feel like I'm probably like 55, 60% of the way there. And I can also judge my playing because of what I do with all the videos. Those intro tracks, I can cut in 1 or 2 goes from start to end. Generally speaking, 20 minutes, I'll have the intro track done. If I'm playing like crap, it can take me 45 minutes or an hour. So, yeah, and then by the end of it, though, I'm like, okay, so I just practiced for 45 minutes. So there's always that kind of payoff with it. Yeah, but you'll see, you'll see different, I guess your own playing will be different to mine and how you respond to coming back to it after a while. Even the rhythm chops, everything about the rhythm hand, for most people it's their right hand. All of those rhythmic ideas, they also go, if you're used to playing different sort of strumming patterns and grooves, those are the things that can sometimes disappear just as fast as the lead stuff. So, I play a lot of rhythm guitar when I play live. I'm not just playing solos. And I'm trying to complement what's going on. And the great thing about rhythm guitar, you can play so little and make it work in the context of playing with other people. You just need to fit in with what's going on around you. Now, if you're leading the set, it's a different thing again. But yeah, it's been fun getting back into it. I'm actually like really enjoying playing live. And I don't want to ruin that by just diving headfirst into, 5 videos a week again or anything like that. I'm really enjoying the love for playing guitar. And it's been there, but it hasn't been as, I haven't been as excited to go out and play live because all week I'd be playing guitar. So I wanted to find a good balance between making videos and also still love going out and playing music. So that's where I'm at right now. And it's been good. It's slowly coming back. It's coming back. Anyway, there we go. Septulas, it says, greetings from Munich, Germany. Welcome. Guten Tagen. Is it morning there? Is that good morning? I probably butchered that. Sorry, I tried. D. Blatt says, appreciate your reviews of guitar pedals made in Greece. You have any Greek heritage? You should plan a trip to Greece if you haven't. You'd love it. Man, I'd love to go to Greece. I'm not Greek, by the way. No, I think they're making the best pedals in the world. They work. Build quality-wise, someone hilariously wrote, I only trust Electro Harmonix pedals and this brand and that brand. I'm like, fair enough, but if you've ever opened some of these brands, they're not built like these guys, and they're nowhere near as functional. Sure, some of them are expensive, but you're getting something that doesn't have plastic potentiometers. You don't need an engineering degree to get it to sound good. You just click it on and they work. The Greeks are nailing the tone, flexibility, and functionality without... You just turn everything up. It sounds good. I'm loving their stuff. And if it sucked, I wouldn't be reviewing their gear, right? So, over the last 5 years, the Greeks have been just absolutely killing it pedal-wise. It's not even close, in my opinion. I've tried and a lot of great Japanese pedals as well, but a lot of those are already well established. When it comes to new stuff, the Greeks, they're the best. But in terms of getting over there, I'd love to go to Greece. No questions about it. I don't know any Greek, by the way. All right, let's go down the chat here. How much do you value music theory? I think there's good stuff in everything. Don't think learning theory is going to make you a worse player. It may confuse you, which I think is what people get turned off with. And same here. I kind of like resisted learning stuff for a while. I was like, I don't know if I want to learn that or this because, it sounds too complicated and maybe it's too much work and all that kind of stuff. But the more you look into certain things, the more you learn. And I was using certain chords that I didn't know their types of... I didn't know what they were called, basically. I just learnt them and I was like, oh, this is a great sounding chord. But it's good to know exactly what they are, right? All right. Let me just scroll down. Hey, Joseph, thank you, man. What are your favorite necks you've played in terms of shape, fretwork, stability? Thanks. I got a few. Like, the first one that comes to mind is the Fender 50s American Original Stratocaster. That thing's great. It's got what they call a soft V-neck. Excuse me, that's the Pepsi. So it's not as fat as like one of their U-shaped necks on their Telecaster, like the 50s Tele. It's not even close. But it's nice and comfortable. I really like that. Another guitar that's getting a lot of playtime is my Kiesel S5. That thing just wipes the floor playability-wise with a lot of my instruments. I love the fatter necks inherently over the thinner necks. So I'll take an Epiphone or Gibson 50s gold top over a modern shaped neck every time. That's just what I really love when it comes to my own hand shape. And I think it's really unique to whoever's hands are on the guitar to what you like best. Another mate of mine hates fat necks. Another friend of mine loves fat necks. So yeah, you got to sort of weigh up what works for you, and there's no right or wrong. It's interesting because I used to be really fussy with neck profiles. Like, oh, I won't buy it if it isn't like this. And there's a few guitars that I own now that aren't anywhere near like what I would normally play. The PRS SE Custom 24 is a great example of that. It's got a thin, wide neck, which is the exact opposite of what I would like normally, and it plays unreal. And I forget about it, and that's the sign of a good neck. If you can pick up a guitar and it might not be your regular kind of what you'd normally go for, and it still feels great to play, then it's fine. So I try not to let those old biases of mine or bias kind of limit me to what I'll try and test now. So yeah. And thanks again, Joseph. I appreciate the super chat, mate. When it comes, I should also say some of these guitars I've had stainless steel frets put in, but generally speaking, if a guitar already has them in there, that's the best thing you can ask for. They'll never wear out. They just work. And if you've got a guitar that you love and you go to put, you need new frets, put stainless steel 6105s. You know, another one I really loved was this Ibanez that I played a while back. This was going back maybe 15 months or so ago. It was this dual humbucker one. It was made in Japan. Killer. Like, that had some of the... that sort of checked all the boxes when it came to neck stability. It had that roasted maple neck, stainless steel frets, great tone, very playable. And that's kind of what I'm finding out about that Kiesel. It's really good in the hand, but there's so many good ones. The Harley Benton Fusion T is like that as well, and that's a very inexpensive guitar. That's some of them that at least come to mind off the top of my head. More Hornet versus Blackstar ID Core. You know, I haven't tried the Blackstar, man, so I apologize. Am I single? I'm not, no. The Jam Ripley Fall is awesome. You can do all sorts of subtle and not so subtle sounds. You know, I've actually got one of those here. That's the last one of their pedals I haven't reviewed. I actually emailed them the other day and said, man, hang in there. It's coming. It's coming. I'm going to do that pretty soon. The more you know, the better you'll be. Yeah, that some Surfby says he resisted for many years. Yeah, totally. I mean, it could be as something as simple as learning, like, if you're just playing pentatonics up and down the neck and you think, that's all I need, and then you see someone running the extended pentatonic across the neck of the guitar, you'll go, oh, what's that? And then you'll resist probably for a while, then you'll learn it and you'll go, this is great. This just tied the fretboard together, right? Or position 2 or position 4. These are little things that will make you better. And it's also, you don't even have to focus as much, like, the technical side of it is good, absolutely, but also work on playing with feel. There's so many people that play at jams that have zero feel when it comes especially to rhythm guitar. That's something that has to be worked on. And you have to, you know, instead of just like smashing away and doing all that kind of stuff, you want to play with some finesse. And that also goes into your lead guitar playing. A lot of guys can be great players, or girls or whatever, but they lack that finesse and understanding of what's going on around them. That's a learned skill as well. All these things contribute to make you a better player. Fat says, it's all Greek to me. I had a Greek girlfriend in college. Mother didn't like me judging how they spoke only Greek when I was around. Okay. That's hilarious. Hey, watch, buddy. Thanks, man. Love my Joyo American, but can't get my TS7 to boost the volume for solos before or after, even when I play with the mids. Any ideas? You mean just the tube screamer, right? Like just a regular TS7 pedal? Let me just double check something. Yeah, because... Yeah, okay, so those... I actually own one of those. They're pretty cool, the tone lock ones, right? You push the buttons down in them. Alright, so firstly, you got to treat the Joyo American sound a little bit more like an amplifier. So one thing you won't do on an amp is just crank the gain all the way up or the volume all the way up, unless you can, right? But generally speaking, that's not what you do. Treat it like an amplifier. Have the volume, say, at 1 o'clock, have the gain most of the way down. And then that should give you... Try and dial in a more of a cleaner tone. You can, of course, add a bit more drive if you need to, but that tone lock pedal's got lots of gain. It's a hotter overdrive than the standard TS9. So, yeah, I did lots of review videos using the American sound pedal with other pedals going into it, and it sounded great. So, yeah, I would just say experiment, or turn the gain down, turn the volume up, and the mids control is like a voice control, right? So if you want the deluxe reverb sound, from memory, it's to the right, I think, and left is the tweed, more heavily mids present sort of tone. It's one or the other. I can't remember. I've still got one somewhere, but it's been a while since I've used it. And even when I do gigs through a PA system directly, that's what I'll take. It's better than a Kemper because you've got tangible controls that you can just play with. I love those pedals. I think they're unreal. So treat it more like an amp. Don't max out anything on there. Keep the volume of it up to some extent. No, I would start at around 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, somewhere around there. Keep the gain down. Then hit your pedal going into it and then out into your interface or wherever you've got it plugged into. But it works also. It sort of doubles as a great overdrive, that pedal. So you can kind of use it in a number of different ways. But see how you go with that. And yeah, thanks again for the super chat. Unless there's something seriously wrong with it, it should have a TS7 should have no issues making that pedal louder and, responding like an amp would. I could get that thing to sound spot on like a deluxe reverb or any other number of amps. It's great. And I should also say, with your overdrive pedal, also crank up the volume control on it, more so than the gain, and see how that responds. And yeah, you should be in business. Hey, we've got Frank from Kansas. Welcome, man. Thoughts on the Boss Katana 100 Artist? I'm thinking of buying one. I don't know if I've tried the... Hang on. There's a few models I know I haven't tried with theirs. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, so I have tried that one. That's the old one. I know they've got a newer one that came out a little while back. That thing's good. Like, you don't really necessarily need to plug it into a computer to get good sounds, which is always a good thing. I think that's where, like, the sort of regular ones can be a bit sort of fiddly for guys who just want to go out and play them live. That one's probably... It's got a better speaker. The cabinet's larger. It has a bit more of a nicer throw of sound. So, yeah, I think it's a good amplifier from memory. Last time I reviewed one of those, probably like 2019. I could be wrong. It was before I moved here. I reviewed it at my old house. So, it's been a while. But you got to find the right amp for you, mate. And that's what it comes down to. Don't worry about what other people are playing or using. Try to find the right thing for you. And if that's the right amp, because you can use the power attenuation thing and play it at home, or take it out and be loud enough to gig with, then you can do that. Interestingly enough, a friend of mine's got a Boss Katana 100. Or is it yeah, he's got the 100, just the regular one. And he just got a Fender Bassbreaker 30R. And it's infinitely better in the context of a live mix. It sounds unbelievable. So Rob, if you're watching this, Well done. You can sell me your old Music Man now. But yeah, it's not even close. But I think the artist one has a bigger, and it's not as bright either. We always say the Katanas have these like laser beams of death when you're in front of them at a gig. It's different at home. When you're playing at a gig and you have to turn it up loud, they're a different sort of sound. I've heard some that sound fantastic and others that are just way too bright. The artist one had more niceness to it, but it's been a long time since I played one. I actually wouldn't mind comparing that up against one of the Tone Master amps, just to sort of see, how big of a difference there is. When it comes to theory, I do see the usefulness as far as explaining what you do on the guitar, but the chat moved. But I don't believe it's totally needed. That's from Jamal. Well, yeah, that's right, man. There's things that it comes down to whether or not you're happy where you are playing. If the thing you want to learn requires theory, and if it doesn't, you can just play. It all comes down to those sort of personal, situational things too. Like I get bored sometimes playing, and it's sort of like, well, what can I do to get out of this? I got to learn something new, and because as fun as blues is to play out with other people, if you're just playing it all the time, sometimes you need something else. So I've been working on other stuff outside of that, just to keep, to learn something different, and I might be able to pull it out of the bag at a jam or something one time. Be good fun. Hey, Bill Marlowe's here. Welcome, man. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for all your support too, mate. I appreciate it. Hey, Frank. Thank you, mate. He says, been playing off and on for years, but been serious the last 2 years. I'm now 40. How do I speed up my hands? I practice blues licks via TrueFire, but haven't had much luck. I stumble. You got to remember, man, like, not blues especially, or any music, you don't necessarily have to play fast to make it sound great. There's so many great players who don't do a lot of fast stuff. I've been really getting into, I follow Guy King on Instagram and on YouTube as well. I watch a lot of his stuff. It shocks me how he never really plays that fast. He can, but everything he plays sounds so good. And fast is cool, but it's not the be-all and end-all. Like, I'm not a fast player. I can't play fast at all. But the way that I kind of trick people into thinking I'm playing quicker is there's certain licks that you just have to work on. And it's really a coordination flow between your picking hand and your rhythm or lead hand. But it's more in the picking hand. It's about getting the timing right. And you can slowly build these things up from really slow to fast. But everyone has different hand dexterity. I watch a guy like Robert Baker, and it's mind-blowing. I don't know if I could ever get my hands to move as fast as his. Even just messing around like that, they don't look like they're moving half as fast as him playing the guitar, right? So there is that sort of element of finger speed, natural talent in that kind of in dexterity or fine motor skills, I should say. But it's still not the be-all and end-all. There's so many great players who just don't play fast, and a lot of them are on the wall back here other than the horror movies. So look at Knopfler, right? Knopfler can play quick, but how great does he sound when he plays Brothers in Arms? Even Sultans of Swing, minus the ending, he's not really playing fast, and it's so good. So, there's countless examples of this. Speed isn't the be-all and end-all, and if you're playing blues, you don't necessarily have to be fast to make it sound good. But a lot of people make that mistake. I thought, I've got to learn how to play faster. I learned a few fast licks, but the best stuff I play is when I phrase well. And when you have something to say musically, it sounds and it feels good when there's a point to it rather than just sort of shredding around. At least that's my 2 cents on it. Anyway, I hope that gives you some encouragement there. So don't worry too much about the speed. But if you want to build up a lick fast, you've just got to practice it. And I would say play over a slow blues, play over a moderate shuffle, play over a really fast shuffle. There's a great song by B.B. King and Eric Clapton called, it's not their tune, but they covered it on their Riding with the King. It's called what's it called? Way back yonder in the Days of Old. Yeah, it's a great tune. That's kind of like my benchmark for if my fingers are moving properly. That means if I can play to that and play on time with that 130 beats per minute, then my fingers are at their fastest. I can't play faster than that. That's it. As much as I want to work at it, it gets really sloppy after about that tempo. So I hope that helps. Would I recommend an alternative pedal to the JHS AT Plus? You know, I don't know much about their pedals, man. I sort of stay out of the JHS world. There's a lot of people reviewing these. He makes great stuff, but yeah, that one I don't know about. Sorry, man. I've just looked it up and I've not seen this anywhere. So yeah, sorry, buddy. I'm going to go for about 15 more minutes tonight. I'm going to early start tomorrow, and I'm just trying to get through the comments here. So thanks for all the super chats, folks. Thanks for all the questions. If I've missed your question, the chat just went again before, so just add in the blues me, and I'll try and do a power round here. Get through some of these for everybody. Yeah, look, Bullets for Teeth just says Rob Baker has a cool course for learning and unlocking the fretboard. Man, Robert's awesome. He's a pro. He's probably my favorite player on YouTube, with the exception of like Johnny Highland and some of these other guys, right? He's just fantastic. He's got all the chops in the world. Great feel. Nice guy. But you know what? He doesn't play fast 100% of the time, and when he plays slow, it sounds great. When he plays fast, it sounds great, as I said earlier. Yeah, metronomes are good and bad, right? Someone said use a metronome. I agree, it's good for your timing, but it's boring as bat crap, right? I hate using metronomes. What? Pick a backing track off YouTube, set it up at 110 beats in a key, and practice the music. That's a good, fun way of playing on time. Metronomes, just hearing click, click, click all the time, it drives me crazy. I want to hear a beat. You know, some practice amplifiers have built-in drum tracks. It's all the same, right? Drum track versus metronome, it doesn't really matter, but you're getting a sense of music, at least with even a raw drum track gives you a little bit more musicality, in my opinion. So yeah, either way is good. Metronomes are fine too. It's a great suggestion from Ben, but I find them extremely boring. Will you be demoing the Line 6 Catalyst amps? You know, that's from Mark Effects. I can probably get Line 6 stuff. It's funny, I actually went to borrow one in December last month from the shop, and they all sold out. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, I always wanted to review one of those amps, so I'll get one in at some point, see if they can handle some blues. Bullets for Teeth says, still got my Mustang. I didn't use the model much. I just run my pedals right through the front, and it blows the doors off. Those original Mustangs are the best ones. The version 2s, the 3 and 4 and they're the best ones they've ever made. They're so much better. They're built like a proper, minus obviously the digital side of it. They're just unreal. They're bulletproof. My friend still uses one of those out live, and it's still going strong. They're just unreal. Yeah, so you can just, I think, bypass the effects by holding in like the menu button or something when you turn it on. Is that right? It's been ages since I've tried one of them. Is it Niles? Asks, who are my favourite guitarists? Most of them are on the wall back here, man. Knopfler, got Buddy Guy, Hendrix, T-Bone Walker, Albert King, Eric Clapton. I got plenty. And probably my favourite guy I've been getting into the last few years, Chris Kane. Like, amazing player. I don't necessarily have like an all-time favourite one anymore. It used to be Eric Clapton. Now it's sort of like, it's too hard to pick. I think I pinched more off him than anyone else, but you know, everyone, yeah, as you get older or your ear changes or you just want to get, you know, there's certain things that a Chris Kane can do that Eric can't and vice versa kind of thing. So there's that, there's no one favorite anymore. I got like a top 5, which some of them I just mentioned, and from different eras too. Tube amps will survive if China doesn't fill the gap. Someone will just import them via China, from Russia to China and then to the rest of the world. Yeah, look, I don't think there's going to... Look, I'm sure there'll be some people who are stressing about all the valves and tubes and all that kind of stuff, because most of them are made over there in Russia. But like what we found out here in Australia, which isn't a great example of innovation in some ways, but this is just something to compare it to. You know, no one could get hand sanitizer anywhere in Australia when everyone was looking for it. So what did the wine companies do? They weren't selling as much wine, so they started making hand sanitizer. And now everyone's got it. There's too much of it everywhere, right? There's like a bazillion liters of it that will never be sold, or gallons, whatever way you want to look at that. So, yeah, I'm sure someone can step up and start making them if need be. Do you use modes naturally, or did you learn the scale? So I learned the pentatonic, the minor one. And a lot of what I do now is a weird hybrid of minor and major stuff. If I'm playing over like a straight up minor, I can kind of mess around with other scales, or I add and subtract notes to the minor pentatonic a lot of the time. And that kind of works for most of the stuff I play. It's not by the book, but it's what I've learnt over the years. I learnt some Dorian, I learnt some Aeolian sort of stuff, and that kind of combines into what I inherently sit around, which is the major and minor scale. The blues scale too, which is just a lot of notes that cross the ones you don't learn about in the minor pentatonic. So yeah, scales are they're a good reference point, but as soon as you learn where the notes are, start getting out of the habit of just, you know, you weren't asking about that, but just for everyone else, just start trying to turn that into something that's musical. Any good suggestions on a preamp pedal / headphone amp just for home practice that I can run my pedal board through? Ooh, that's a good question. That you can run your pedal board through. So I've got this little one called the Joyo Jam Buddy, which is pretty cool. It's a very simple amp. It's like a clean channel, a dirt channel, and it also has a delay built into it. That also has a headphone out. I'm sure you'll be able to run pedals into that. I don't know if I've done that or not, but that works pretty well, and it's a good little... It's got its own built-in speaker as well, so you can play music via your phone or Bluetooth device directly to it and jam over it, and that music comes out clean, which is awesome as well. It's a great little practice amplifier. There we go. Mark says, Ron Barassi said, practice makes perfect is BS. Perfect practice makes perfect. Yeah, there you go. That's doing anything with intention will make the end result far better. So many guys that I know that have been playing for like 20 years, and I feel like they've never really worked out what they've tried to sound like. They've just played because, you know, that's what they did, but they've never really decided to think to themselves, or maybe they did, I don't know, but it just looks from the outside like they've not worked at sort of creating their own sound. And I don't mean just tone-wise, that's part of it too, but just grabbing, you know, like all your influences and coming out with something. You don't, some people, they just run the scales. I really think it's important to focus in on how you would ideally like to sound and just start picking that apart bit by bit. It's a slow process, but the great thing about it, unlike other hobbies you could pick up, there's no end. You just keep going. There's no like to the point where you go, okay, I'm done. You can always add more to the bag. The chat just flew down here. Lil Thuama, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining in. Do I still have my PRS Custom 24? I do. Absolutely. That's not going anywhere. I love that guitar. Too bad Clapton lost his mind. Look, everyone wants to cancel everybody, man. As soon as someone has a disagreement about anything, everyone wants people cancelled and there's a big uproar. And I reckon it's great that people can speak their mind. I don't even know what the problem is with him, but you know what? I don't care. People are free to make up their own mind about whatever, just because I'm sure he's upset somebody. I couldn't care less. I'm more into his music than I am about all that crap. Fender Mustang Micro works great. Those are also really cool. But from memory though, you can't really plug your pedal board into those, right? I can run my entire board through my Digitech and it works as a headphone amp too. Very cool. Joyo Jam Buddy amp is so awesome. Charges too. Yeah, so that's from GRB Aquatics. The great thing about that amp, it's got a built-in lithium-ion battery that lasts for like 10 hours or something. It lasts maybe longer. I don't know. I've never run it out, but it comes with a power supply so you can run it off mains, but it's like this big. I used to use it on the live streams a while back, and I've still got it. It's super cool. It's one of those amps that you can basically just practice with and not get distracted. There's no USB, there's no digital interface, there's none of it. You just turn it on and play. It's super cool. Joseph, I didn't even... Oh, sorry, that's not to me. Listening to what other players are doing makes one a better guitar player too. Oh, totally. You know, the amount of little bits I've stolen off Rick over the years is... he must hate it. But it does, yeah, absolutely. Playing with other people also makes you a better player. And I think playing... Like, I'm going to say this every live stream. If you're not out going to the jam nights or the blues jams, or if, you know, playing with other people, go do it. It makes you a completely different player. You end up learning more about, like, how you fit into it rather than just kind of, like, noodling over something is a big difference, you know, and trying to complement a part is also really important. It's yeah. There's all these good things you learn from other people, either... like with purpose or indirectly, you know. In the blues, have you ever considered a Marshall DSL 100 with a 1960 A or AV cabinet? They sound great. Man, DSL 100s are awesome, but I got a DSL 40 and I'm always told I'm too loud. So, yeah, there's no way I'm buying a 100 watt amp. Well, at least not with a drive channel. I'd be kicked out of the venue. I know you can switch them down to 50 watts, but I got a 40 watt amp and that's close enough. Plus, I'm not a huge fan of extension cabinets. I get it, they sound amazing and generally cleaner with less rattle and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I'm too lazy. I'd rather just grab an amp, throw it in the car, and I'm done. It means I'm not going to forget the cable that goes from the amp head to the cab, the speaker cable. Man, it's just little things like that. I'm awful at remembering to bring those mini, you know, those little detailed things like that. So, David says, just picked up a Joyo Bant amp Tweedy. It sounds absolutely brilliant. Very cool, man. Oh, well, from all the other ones I've tried, they're really good. John says, add my vote to the Jam Buddy. They're super cool. Once this is over, I'll leave a link to one in the description box below. You can check it out. How do I stop buying new guitars? Practice. That's it. Usually people who buy a lot of guitars, they're either not playing enough or they're bored. You got to work on it. Do the opposite. Start selling stuff. Or have a rule, right? Like, for every 2 guitars you buy, you got to sell one. And stick to it. Nah, look, everyone likes different things, right? If you want to stockpile 40 guitars, go for it. It's up to you. I'd rather have guitars I really love playing than guitars sitting in a cupboard that someone else could be enjoying. That's kind of how I look at it now. Do I ever use in-ears for gigs? I don't. I use earplugs when I listen to music. Inner ear monitors I've tried a few times. I've owned 2 sets of Shure ones that I purchased. They were like $1,000. They were so expensive and I hated using them. It was more setup than it was worth. Unfortunately, the way that a lot of PA systems work and in combination with how those in-ear monitors worked, it was a recipe for like shocks on the microphone. I hated it, so I ended up just getting rid of all of them. Sometimes I will play with Heroes or just basic Fender earplugs that have the little acoustic thing on them, those little tubes. But I don't use in-ear monitors anymore. I can't stand it. The setup time's not worth it for me. I'm not doing like full-length gigs anymore either. I might only do, well, gigs haven't been going for that long again here, but I haven't done a single gig since it all opened up, but I've jammed quite a lot again just at the blues jams, and I'm loving that. I'm loving the freedom that comes with that, but yeah, I really feel like I wouldn't use them anymore. If you're in a professional setup where you got a sound guy, a dedicated sound guy, you've got the time and you can set it all up and you can rig it in properly so you can hear the band as well, then it's worth it. If you can't and you're just hearing your own vocal, it means the vocal is going to be so much louder than everything else. So yeah, I don't really like them. Or if you're just playing guitar with the in-ear monitors, I would just go for earplugs like Heroes. Save yourself the big bucks. All right, I'll take a few more questions and I'm gonna hit the road here. Do you think this is from F3113R. I guess that stands for Fella, maybe? Do you think your Fender American Original Strat will be the same as the new Vintera? Probably not. I'm pretty sure, unless... Well, I don't know is the honest answer, but generally they're all that little bit different. I don't know if the Vintera is... Are they less expensive than those guitars? I could be wrong. I haven't checked the prices on this stuff in a while. Yeah, so you know what? I'm going to play it safe and say I don't know. More Melbay, less eBay. I've got a 40 watt Super-Reverb. I couldn't imagine needing any more power than that. Yeah, they're an interesting 40 watts, those amplifiers. Once you get them to 5, they're amazing. But they don't go much louder than 5, right? They just start getting dirty. That's my favorite tube amp ever, the Super-Reverb. I love it. It's such a great sounding amplifier. But loud, yeah, you're right. It's not something that you can play everywhere at its optimum volume. Cass and John says, when using the Joyo amp in a box pedals like the AC Tone, would it make sense to run it through a cab simulator like the cab box? You don't have to, man. Basically, I think the output of that is, it's a clone of the Tech 21 pedal, which has a cab emulation kind of sound to it. You can do it if you want to get like a speaker IR or something like that, like an actual or a different one, but you can get pretty great results just by running a reverb pedal after it. It sounds very, very much like the amplifier does, just by using the mids control on it. You can, or the voice control, I should say. That's why I said mids before. I meant to say voice when I got asked about the American pedal. But you can dial in a really close sound to a Vox. So yeah, you can do that. There's nothing to stop you doing it, or do it in something like GarageBand or any type of DAW, and you can assign. You know, it depends how you're doing it, right? But give it a shot, see if it works. But I wouldn't need to do that. I've recorded a full album with those pedals using a reverb pedal after it and my pedal board before it, without any speaker IRs or anything. It sounded great. So you don't need to necessarily know. Have you ever used the Boss Fender amp pedals? I'm thinking of buying the set, but don't know if they're crap. This is from David Brose. So I owned the Fender FRV1, which was their reverb pedal. For whatever reason, that's gone up to like $800 now. It isn't worth close to that amount of money. It's good. It's one of the best reverb pedals that's digital, but there's nothing you can't get from so many other pedals on the market. But they make good stuff. A good friend of mine has the Bassman pedal, which he uses as a preamp gain, and it's friggin' loud, and it sounds really good. I don't even know if it sort of sounds like a Bassman. It just sounds like a high gain pedal to me. It sounds pretty cool. So they're pretty solid. Just don't pay through the roof for them. If you can get them, if you're talking about the original ones, like they had a deluxe reverb, they had the Bassman pedal, they had this spring reverb one. just don't pay through the nose. I don't think they're worth it when you're talking about that kind of money. But if there's a new series that I'm unaware of, then yeah, I don't know about them. But the ones that I've tried all sounded pretty great. All right, I'll take 2 or 3 more, and then we'll round it up. That's exactly right. People do buy guitars thinking this one will motivate them or play better. Just practice. Yeah, so I'm guilty of this as well. I've done this multiple times and paid the price not long after making that kind of decision, which is why after making that decision recently, which will be up in a video shortly, I'm more inclined now to move stuff on. Any issue with tone or playing is my own fault. I don't need any more stuff. 3 amps that I've got can do anything that I need them to do for their intended purposes. I shouldn't even be looking at stuff anymore. Sure, gear's fun, but and this is the other thing. Like, I needed a break from the gear mindset more so than just the playing. I've really enjoyed just stripping it back and playing and not having to worry about the stuff. You know, it's been great, and I can get good tones out of my stuff, and that's it. What else do you need, right? You just need to practice. You know, if you say you love a 335 or a Les Paul or whatever, and you don't have one, but that's what you always wanted, or that's what you love the sound of now, then that makes sense. Once you start talking about guys who buy 4 or 5 of the same guitar, essentially, I don't really understand that. I'm like, well, which one do you play the most? And sell all the others. That's kind of my approach to stuff these days. Do you think I should buy an Epiphone Les Paul and a Gibson SG, or just fork it all out for a Gibson Les Paul? Oh, sorry, I read that completely wrong. Sorry, Amiga. I'm getting tired. It's 12:37 a.m. here. What do you think? Should I buy an Epiphone Les Paul and a Gibson SG, or just fork it all into a Gibson Les Paul? You know what? If you're buying them online, it's a tough decision, because I would rather play the guitars and make a decision based on that. That'd be the first thing I'd recommend. Secondly, there's nothing wrong with Epiphone guitars in 2022 or last year or the year before. They're the best they've ever been. The 50s series, the 60s ones are all awesome. But if you're the kind of person who can't live without the brand name, or you plan on like having this guitar short term before getting the Gibson Les Paul, then just wait. Buy the guitar you want. These stepping stone guitars aren't necessarily a good choice, because you end up paying, I'm just going to throw a number out there, $1,000 to $1,200 more, or $800 depending on which one you buy, on top of the guitar you intend to still buy. So it ends up costing you far more than it should. If you've got your heart set on a Gibson Les Paul, by the sounds of it you kind of do, then just save up and get that over buying 2 other guitars instead of it, because that doesn't, if you're not a fan of an SG, or it's a second guitar in your arsenal, there's no real advantage to an SG over a Les Paul, or vice versa. So tone-wise, there's not a lot in it, right? Some would argue there are some inherent differences in the sound, but it's more of a feel thing. It's more about how the guitar feels when it's on. So go try them out. Just don't buy too many stepping stone guitars. If you really want something, I did this with camera equipment for a while. I compromised, and I said, all right, I'm going to get this one because it's not as expensive as the one I want. And then eventually I ended up buying the one I want. And then I spent another $2,000 on a camera that I hardly use, and it's going to get sold. But this kind of stuff can happen to everybody, and not, obviously it comes down to what you can afford too. But if it's the only difference is maybe a month or 2 months, wait and get the one you want. You'll be far happier with getting a great guitar over one that's not as impressive to you personally. Hey, Bruce W., thank you, man. Just a little something for the channel. Thesis, I think that's supposed to be thanks for the videos. Hey, you're welcome, man. Thank you so much. Scott Broccoli says, will you ever review one of the Wangs amps? I will not, because those people at that company are idiots. Oh, man, no. So I did one review of their amp video. This was like probably 7 years ago, maybe longer. I don't know how long ago it was. Yeah, anyway, these guys broke the golden rule. They gave my personal details out to someone else, and I couldn't believe it. And I grilled them for it. I was like, you mother... You know, I was like not happy about that. I was getting calls from people that I had no idea how they got my phone number. So the short answer is I'll never review a Wangs amp again. I don't hold on to a grudge much, but that to me is like as bad as it gets. But and Bruce, thank you again for the super chat, mate. I appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm starting to lose the plot. It's 12:41 a.m., so we're gonna wrap this up. I'll try and timestamp some of this. If not tonight, I'll do it in the morning. I'll watch it back at double speed so I can do that. Thanks everybody for the support. Hang in there. I've got some more interesting videos coming up. And if you missed the last Guitar Search Saturday, please give it a look. I put so much work and effort into those videos. And yeah, I just love doing that particular series. So go check it out. I got 2 more episodes from Hawaii coming up. So go check it out. It's it completely underperformed, and I don't understand why. It's probably the thumbnail sucked actually, but the watch time's great, so that means people are actually watching it. And we will wrap this up. Bobby Beretta's here. Welcome, man. Hope you're doing well. I commented on Mike Matei's video recently, and people are like, "Oh man, I didn't expect to see you here." And then Bobby's one of those guys I always run into on. I used to run into on a lot of the old gaming live streams back in the day. All right, I'll take this last one from Robert. What wireless microphone do you use? You probably answer this question all the time. So I don't answer it all the time, so you're all good. When I'm doing my videos, I use a Saramonic Blink 500 Pro. I've actually reviewed that pack on my tech channel. It's awesome. So yeah, go check that out. It's my go-to for... It's flat. Otherwise, I'd normally be using it. I'm not using it right now. I'm using this mic here. But yeah, that's what I use it on my videos. It's digital. It's got a great distance. It works up to like 100 meters. It's awesome. And it's rechargeable. LCD screens. You can split it into stereo and mono. It's great for camera work stuff. So yeah, digital make a massive difference to how, you know, if like this microphone, if I turn it away, it's going to sound like crap, right? So, yeah. Hawaii, yeah, Dougal, you're right, man. All right, take care, guys. Thank you so much. If I missed your question, I apologize. Just post it in the comment section, the regular comment section coming up, and I'll answer you as soon as I can. All right, guys, take care, and I plan on doing more of these live streams coming up. It's been ages. I haven't done one for over a month. I really just needed to kind of unwind, and I haven't even been enjoying watching a lot of guitar channels recently either. I've just sort of switched off from most, apart from a few. And I knew when that happened, I was like, all right, I got to sort of like just take a break, get interested in playing guitar again, which has happened, and then the rest of it sort of takes care of itself. It's you know, doing what we do, when you turn your passion into like work, even though some would argue it's not the hardest job in the world or whatever the case may be, it's hard when you get burnt out. It's really hard to sort of recover other than just to take some time off. And I feel like I'm really enjoying playing again. So I got this great live session coming up, so stay tuned for that as well. And more, I got a podcast I want to put together, the first one in ages. So yeah, there's different things coming up soon. All right, guys, take care. Please leave a thumbs up, as everyone said. I appreciate that. And I will catch you on the next video. See ya. I'll try and schedule the next one up ahead of time, by the way, too. See ya.